So your team, the Broncos, drafted a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, number 12 overall. Well, we had a very good preseason. Obviously, won the starting job and played very well last week against the Buccaneers. So, what are your impressions of him so far, and your impressions of the relationship with Sean Payton?
Man, I tell you this, man. I think that it's a good run right there. I think they were 1-2 right now. Seattle a tough team to beat, man. Even when I played in Denver, when we lost to them in the first Super Bowl, man, it's a tough team to beat, and very great defensive scheme. McDonald's running over there, so I think that played a large part in it. I thought they had who they played second week.
Steelers. They played close with the Steelers. They lost the defensive duel.
Thought they had a chance to win that, and last week they beat the Bucks, which the Bucks is a team that's having some success. I think they'll be okay. I think Sean Payton is a great coach, man. It just we've had some rough seasons the past few seasons ever since we won the Super Bowl, really, and it's a mountain you got to overcome. Yeah, haven't been playoffs since then, and it's a mountain you got to overcome. And winning is contagion and losing is as well. And I think that you just gotta turn that switch, man. And they got to stack a couple of them in a row, and they'll be all right. Bo Nix a big good quarterback, man. He got a great teacher. Sean Payton is a phenomenal coach. I was with him for a little bit, and phenomenal coach, man. And again, you just gotta go ahead and marry the two, and they'll be all right.
Speaking of switches, Sylvester, the Kansas City Chiefs seem to have a lot of switches from the NFL, turning every single time the game is close. It's so interesting because I'm not saying Kansas City doesn't deserve the accolades, but they're 3-0 right now and could very much be 1-2. And the back-to-back games against the Bengals, I mean, they got all the calls in the fourth quarter. And then that game against Atlanta, the last minute of the game, that was a passing inter. And if it actually counted as a passing inter, I think Atlanta wins the game. What are your thoughts to the NFL? I mean, do you believe that the NFL, I wouldn't say be rigging them to win, but I think do you believe that the NFL wants them to win? Are they helping them to win these games so they can repeat again for the third time in a row and be the first team in the NFL history to have 3 championships in a row?
I wouldn't say that the NFL is helping them, but Kansas City is their moneymaker right now. And, that's what's selling tickets. You got the whole Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce thing. And so it's the pretty thing to do right now. So I think that, you got to think, man, these referees, man, they human too. And a lot of them is fans, and Pat Mahomes himself has built up an incredible fan base, and I'm sure some of them referees is, maybe looking the other way or calling the game a certain way. And the thing is, we expect Kansas City to win, because it's the same way with New England. They won for so long, is when they get in the games, you expect them to win. So certain calls, because even the refs expect them to win, and just certain calls just go their way, man.
So I know when you were playing with the Broncos, you ended up playing with Peyton Manning for a while until he retired too. We've had a couple ex-Broncos of his teammates on our show, including Jeremy Mincey last week, who you played with. Say a lot of funny things about him. So what was your experience like playing with Peyton Manning? What type of guy is he off the field as well?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, he's a character. And man, shout out to Jeremy Mincey, man. That's my guy, man. Man, great dude, man. I love to see what he up to nowadays. I ain't talked to him since he left Denver.
He's doing a lot of film stuff right now.
I've seen him.
He does recording.
Dude, he made a Pixar movie, like a cartoon movie. Yeah.
Really?
Jeremy Mincey, yes. And he's got a YouTube channel right now with him and his family. He's doing something for his family, the Mincey family.
Yes.
It's actually cool what he's doing. So and listen, I told him the next Pixar movie that you're going to do, I should be a voice in that. I mean, seriously.
Hey, look, me too, man. He need to get at me, man. We got to talk about that.
Let's do something like a bullying movie. I'll be one of the guys. You bully me, and we slap box or something.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm all with it, man.
Park, I can make different voices. I can do all different things. Speedy, could you give me your voice? What would be your cartoon character voice?
I have no idea.
Give me something. Come on, just do something.
I'm very bad at high pitched voices,
but I will try my best. Do some kind of rap like this.
Hey, Speedy, throw that New York hat in the trash, man.
Yes, high-pitched voices are not my thing, but
you sound like you're constipated.
I can't. I'm not a freaking cartoon voice actor.
You're talking to former Broncos, Titans, Lions, Chargers defensive tackle Sylvester Williams. Sylvester, what are your thoughts to the new rules in the NFL? The kickoff rules and all these stupid rules that Roger Goodell and ownership decided to implicate into the game.
That's a dumb rule, man. I didn't even know that until the first game. And when I seen it, I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, why they ain't moving? And then they started talking about it and the rule, man. And it's because they want people to score, man. They want to see big plays. They want to get people engaged and they want to see kickoff return for touchdowns, man. Let's just play football, man, the way it's supposed to be played. If you line up, hit somebody in the mouth, if you better than the man across from you, you win. But this whole thing of guys can't take off running until the guy catch the ball and what they call it, the catch zone or whatever it is. Man, they trying to have more points. They tired of these games being 13-10.
I just want to go back to my question with Peyton Manning. We got distracted on Jeremy Mincy and what he's doing. So you have a good story of him. What was he like?
Oh man, Peyton, great guy, man. Phenomenal guy. I think the funniest story I had with Peyton, man, is we was on our way we had just won the game to go to the Super Bowl, and that video that went viral, where Kirk Cousins had all those chains on.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did that to Peyton in the locker room. We put everybody put their chain on. He had a bunch of chains on. And we took some pictures of him. Everybody was excited to post him, man. And he came back like, hey, don't post that. He like, hey, don't. And I think it was, obviously, with his, obviously he wanted to focus on the game, assumed to be focused on the game. And so we ended up leaking the pictures, man. And when I seen the picture of Kirk Cousins, I said, man, we did that way many years ago, man. We the originators. But he's a good guy, though, man. A very, very funny guy, a lot less serious than what people think he is.
One of the teams that you did play for was the Lions. And when you were playing with the Lions, this was not a very good organization. But over the last couple of years, with Campbell running the show and some of the young players that they brought in, St. Brown, Jared Goff's turned into a really good quarterback. I couldn't stand Jared Goff when he came from the Rams, but he's really developed into a really good quarterback. He's the Laporta and all the weapons that they have right now on that roster. Even Williams looks like he's starting to really develop after coming off a bad injury like that from college, and now finally really getting back to his strength, his speed. What are your thoughts to the team? I mean, obviously they started off a little bit slow this year, but I do believe this is one of the teams to beat in the NFC. Where do you see this organization moving forward with Campbell running at the helm?
Listen, man, it was a complete disaster when I played there, man, from top to bottom, but when we was there, you could always feel that Detroit football should be played a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Dan Campbell fit that pedigree. And I mean, if you look at the way they play, man, I mean, they won the game the other week and they ran the ball the entire drive. And it's important to continue to run the football, man. Play football the right way, and I think they run the ball and they make the quarterback job easier, a whole lot easier. But they invested a lot into the offensive line. They got some incredible offensive line, man. I tell you what, man, Frank Ragnow, that center, is a Hall of Fame player.
Wow.
He was there he was a rookie when I was there, and when I tell you, man, he got the ability to go down as one of the best of all times for sure. He's a phenomenal player, and they built around him, and the whole entire offensive line are all great players, and that's why it's easy for them to get 6 yards to carry. If I was a running back, I'd be signed up to go to Detroit.
Nate Sewell is a beast of a man too. I think he's the best lineman in football.
Oh my God. And yeah. And I mean, yeah, he's up there, man, with his run block and his pass protection. And I tell you what, man, that defensive end they got, man. Aiden Hutchinson, oh my God. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
He's really developing. I'm very impressed. I watched him his rookie season. I wasn't too impressed with his rookie season, but this year, his first 3 games, I mean, he had 4 sacks in one game. I mean, the guy's all over the place. I've been very impressed this year. He's really starting to develop. And what I love about Aiden Hutchinson is watching them in Hard Knocks. And when they had to pick something, his song, he did that Michael Jackson thing.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Like,
yeah.
He had no fear to go up there and do singing Michael Jackson and dancing like Michael. That was so hilarious for a guy that's 275 pounds, defensive end, doing that and having the humor to do that. So a very impressive kid.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing his rookie year. I mean, I said he's a good player, but I don't know if he was worthy of he didn't look worthy of a top 5 pick. And I mean, this year, every year, last year he stepped it up. And this year, I mean, I watch Detroit. I'm more of a players guy. So I don't watch games, I watch players. I kind of turn the games on and, certain players I'm a fan of. And man, I'm definitely a fan of his. And I love watching Detroit because of the way they play. And watching him play, man, is a thing of beauty, man. I mean, the guy gets after it. And what I love the most about him is it's always 100 miles an hour.
So you got to play with a couple of Bill Belichick disciples, Mike Vrabel and Matt Patricia, you mentioned in Detroit as well. And then Bill Belichick as well has a lot of turmoil this offseason. Robert Kraft was saying, don't hire him. And now he's been rumored, the Jaguars are 0-3. The Bill Belichick we might be going after. So what are your thoughts on that and your thoughts on the Vrabel, or the Belichick disciples you played for?
Man, listen, I think that what Belichick had was number one, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. And so when you got a Hall of Fame quarterback, it's easy to implement the things that he implemented. And listen, and I actually said this earlier today, is when we had Peyton Manning, when I came to the NFL, and it came into the NFL, from college, I was a pass rusher and came to the NFL and became a run stopper. I played with guys, Von, DeMarcus Ware. Ain't that many sacks to go around, so I had to find a role for myself. And I think when you got Tom Brady and the type of leader that he and Belichick was, you just got to get, 52 other guys to just play a role. Everybody come in and play their role. Ain't nobody bigger than the team. And I think that's the situation that he created over there. And I played with Matt Patricia, and I tell you what, he came to Detroit and tried to create that same thing. And as you see, it was a disaster, complete disaster. And Vrabel had some success, and I think he's a great coach. And I think that he deserved to be a head coach again. I mean, he was there. I mean, it's hard to make it on one team for past the first contract. As you see, usually you get 3 years that you are. So if you make it past that 3-year mark, you're doing something right. And he had a recycling door, that quarterback too. I mean, they had the guy from Miami for a little bit, but listen, it's hard to win in the NFL, man, and to be able to be there as long as he did. I think he'll get another chance eventually.
Jim Harbaugh is back in the NFL, and boy, oh boy, is he stamped his name to that Charger team. They're playing unbelievable football. They don't have much weapons at all. They go in with J.K. Dobbins as their starting running back. This guy can't stay healthy, but he's putting up ridiculous numbers. This offensive line is arguably the best offensive line now in football. I mean, they have two young guys in Slater and Alt that are beating people up, throwing people around. It's been very impressive. And everybody thought, hey, you know what? Jim Harbaugh wasn't that great of a college coach. He did win the national championship last year, but he, quote unquote, cheated, as everybody says. But nevertheless, he should have stayed in the NFL. Look what he did with San Francisco. And now he comes back and the guy can't lose. It's really been impressive with no weapons, no wide receivers. I mean, Quentin Johnston is a good player. He's not a number one. They don't have a number one wide receiver on that roster. They're putting up numbers, and Justin Herbert is just special. That kid is special. And I think Jim Harbaugh is going to really change that even more now that he is the head coach of that team. What's been the most impressive thing that you've seen with Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, I think just coming in and creating that winning culture. And if you look at him, and to be honest with you, I thought he should have been the head coach last year because he interviewed for some jobs last year, and I think the year before too. And I think some teams passed up on him, and I think they regretted it. I mean, you look at a guy that he's won everywhere he's been. I mean, I've seen coaches get fired after get hired after having losing seasons. They get fired and they get the job the next year. For him to be out of the NFL as long as he was, be it by choice or nobody will hire him. But I mean, I think he brings a winning culture, and I think that he's a disciplinary coach. And listen, you do your job or you find someone else to play mentality. But he's won everywhere he went. Everywhere he's been, he's won. He's returned programs around, and I mean, it's impressive, man. And like I said, I think he should have been a head coach years ago in NFL.
There's one team that's already regretting it. I think the Raiders and the Vikings were the two finals you mentioned 2 years ago if they were going to go after him. And the Raiders, they definitely would regret it now. Getting Josh McDaniels.
The Vikings are doing just fine with the
Vikings are fine. I said the Raiders.
I mean, they're 3-0. They have the best record right now in the NFC with Sam Darnold as their quarterback.
Yep.
I just want to tell you something, Sylvester. This is what pisses me off as a Jet fan. Okay. The NFC, the two undefeated NFC teams are the lead quarterbacks on both those teams. Sam Darnold, ex-Jet, drafted in the first round, top 3, and Geno Smith, former Jet, drafted by the Jets in the second round. So, of course, it's very fitting as a Jet fan that the two quarterbacks they gave up on are the two quarterbacks that are leading right now in wins in the NFC. So thank you to the New York Jets. I'm not developing a quarterback once again.
and your Broncos that traded for Zach Wilson has a chance to beat the Jets this week.
Oh, please.
Yes, man. Hey, listen, man, I tell you what, man, I ain't know you was a Jets fan. I see the New York Giants hat, so I figured that. But being a Jets fan, man, good luck this year. Good luck.
Well, thank you, Sylvester.
He's just hoping that Elijah Vera Tucker doesn't get hurt against the Broncos.
Listen, you need to hope that the quarterback don't get hurt.
That's what I'm saying. very fitting that's going to happen one way or another. So,
Yeah.
but that offensive line's playing well, so I can't be jumping for joy in the first 3 games that they played this year, except the San Francisco team. But San Francisco wasn't even at full strength; they couldn't beat them. So Jet fans are jumping for joy because they beat the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis, and they beat the New England Patriots and Jacoby Brissett. So yes, if you're a Jet fan, you should be very excited about those 2 wins. So I'm not sold with this Jet team yet. I want to see them beat good teams, and then we can start talking about playoffs and making a run. I think Jet fans are always just out there in the blue or whatever they are. The sky is purple, and they think it's blue. I don't know what the hell they think, but they're out of their minds. Just speaking. There we go.
Listen, man. Like I said, good luck, man.
See, you can't even give me some luck on this. So
Yeah.
And I think y'all got a good coach. I think.
Don't you ever.
Oh boy.
Bambi Sala is not a good coach.
You don't
I
like
gave
him?
him a nickname. Oh, I can't stand him. Oh my
Why
God.
I say
him
this?
up
I
now.
think he's a good coordinator.
He's a great coordinator. He's a fantastic coordinator. He's a terrible coach. Dude, I see more of Bambi Sala with his head between his legs than him actually making the right calls. That guy has absolutely no idea what he is doing as a head coach. I throw up every time I see him when his head's between his legs. I think he knows the size of his testicles more than he knows the game of football. Okay? It's honestly, he is horrible. I really believe he is the worst coach the Jets have ever had. He is so bad. Yes, even worse than Adam Gase. He is horrible. By the way, he's like what? The 2nd or 3rd worst record right now for a Jets coach in history. He's horrible. He's not a good coach. I think he's like 18-34 or some ridiculous.
Never won a game in December or something since he's gotten there.
It's horrible.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's horrible.
I guess I'm judging him based off his success in San Francisco. I guess still.
Listen.
And then I'm giving him some credit because he ain't had a quarterback.
Have you ever seen the movie Bambi?
I have not.
Okay, well, maybe when you get a chance to sit there and watch it with your kids, it's a very sad movie. Bambi, for a guy that, has been through so much, he has a rabbit telling him what to do. He has a skunk telling him what to do. He's the biggest, biatch in the movie. It's a sad movie, but that's Robert Saleh. He's got the owner telling him what to do, the GM telling him what to do, and him kissing the quarterback's ass. He's perfect. Bambi Sala, ladies and gentlemen. The perfect name. Bambi.
Next thing you know, he'll get a tattoo just like Rex Ryan did.
Oh, man. Wow.
If he does that, I want to throw the hell up. Okay? I've seen enough of this coaching staff. This is a good team. This is a very talented team. Coaching staff stinks. This is the worst coaching staff I've ever seen the Jets have. And that's why I don't think they're going to win, because when it rains, it pours, and it will pour for the New York Jets one way or another. As a Jet fan, I'm just speaking the truth here. So there you go.
Well, they got to win some game this year, or they all be up out of there.
I don't want. If they don't win anything, if they don't win a game, I'd love to go fishing with Robert Saleh. But guess what? Robert Saleh will not be coming back off that.
Oh man.
Well, will there be a hammerhead shark caught?
I told you. Trip? I already told you. Anybody wants to meet a hammerhead shark, you go in your pants.
Yeah, right, including Robert Saleh.
Speedy's got a hammerhead. I mean, Sylvester.
Would a hammerhead shark fit in Bambi Saleh's pants, though?
I don't know. Why, does a deer have a hammerhead shark in his pants? Does he have pants?
Exactly.
A deer doesn't have pants, but right. You do. You do. You have a hammerhead.
And they still wouldn't fit.
How long does it get?
I don't know.
You don't know how long
It's not going to fit in there.
Oh, man.
You know whose pants it might fit in?
Who?
Mr. Sean Smith. Maybe it'll fit in his pants.
Oh, that's a whole nother story with Sean Smith. A whole nother story. Let's not get too deep.
You're the better defensive tackle, Sylvester.
There's no doubt about that. That's for sure.
I love it, man. I love it.
And you're also a very respectable guy, unlike some people we know. Hello. Please get out of the building, Sean. Please get out of the building. Anyways, we are talking to former Broncos, Titans, Lions, and Chargers defensive tackle, Sylvester Williams. Sylvester, obviously all the stuff that's going on in the NFL this year, the one story that really stands out in college football is the great Deion Sanders, who I can't stand, speaks all this rubbish. It has nothing to do with even coming out with the Shohei Ohtani thing. I don't know if you heard. He's comparing Shohei Ohtani to Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Ridiculous statement, by the way. I have no idea where that is selling to anything that's going on in the college football year. But even some of the stuff on and off the field on what he said about, other things, with the college season going away, comparing his son to other great quarterbacks. And until I see that, I do not want to predict any story that his son is a valuable first-round draft pick. I really don't think he has that kind of talent, but that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts? I know you've heard some things. What are your thoughts to some of the Deion Sanders debacle statements that he's made in the last couple of weeks?
Listen, man, I guess I differ from y'all because I'm a fan, man. I think your son is going to be a phenomenal quarterback. I think that, I will say this. I thought, they would have more success than they did last year. And I think that they did too. And I think that, I think they got the wagon rolling a little bit quicker than they should have. But I think again, you talking about a team that won one game, so 4 is a success. And if they go out there this year and win 6, 7, 8 games, it's a success and get to a bowl game. I think that, to me, I'm more curious to see because I think Shedeur is a phenomenal quarterback, as I said. I really do. And accurately, and I think that, he's put the team on his back and won a few games that they did. And I think we gonna have to judge Coach Prime, man, and really see the level of coach he could be is next year when he no longer has Shedeur and he got to go and get another quarterback. And I'm curious to see how he do. But I think he's a great coach, man. I think coach is about motivate, man, and getting the best out of your players. And I think you're on the right track. That's just my opinion, though.
I don't like when his son comes out, throws people under the bus, doesn't stand up for, the responsibilities as a quarterback and as one of the leaders of the team. This has been a big problem. Deion Sanders making excuses for his son is something that I don't like. I understand it's his son, but if you're going to judge all the other players on your team and say whatever you feel about certain players on a team, well, you're going to have to take shots at your sons. And that to me is something that he has not done enough of. And his son likes to open his mouth. He likes to speak. And listen, you got to show up on the field. And when you get a chance to play on an NFL field, when these guys are just as fast or even faster than you, and they're going to try to rip your damn head off because you're, I don't know, Deion Sanders' son, well, then good luck to you because a lot of people aren't going to like your thoughts and your statistics that you believe you putting out there in college football. It doesn't always work in the NFL, as we all know. So it's a completely different sport.
It's a different ball game. But again, I go back to say, and again, I could be looking from a biased eye because I love everything in Colorado. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, man, I think that he's a phenomenal quarterback, and I think that he will have a good NFL career. And I was hoping that the Broncos had a chance to get him, but I think that he's accurate. I think that he know the game really well, and I ain't seen him make too many. He's made some mistakes. Everybody do, but I don't know, man. I think he's a good quarterback. I guess. I don't know. I guess I got to go. Maybe I got to go see him in person to see what you see because I'm watching the game as a fan of him, and I'm like, you're doing pretty good to me.
Well, listen, man, we still love you. I still love you. It doesn't matter if you like Shedeur Sanders. And for everybody that thinks on social media, I can't stand Deion. I don't like how he approaches things, but it doesn't mean I don't like Deion Sanders. I still think he's one of the top 2 corners to ever play the game. I really do. There's no question. I love his personality. I just want to see him stand up more. Not only for the players that are playing on your team, but stand up for the players that you coach and the players that you call your sons and let them take responsibilities for their play after the game. I don't think he does enough of that. That's just my opinion. And then he kind of just like brushes under the rug and that's my opinion. But that doesn't mean I dislike Deion Sanders or I don't think he's a great person. I think he's overrated as a coach. And I don't even think he stays. I don't even think he stays in college football as much as he says he doesn't want to coach an NFL team. I could see him flee and go to the NFL. I could very much see that. I can see Deion Sanders doing that. So
anything not to coach your Seminoles.
Mm-hmm.
I have this debate with a lot of people, and I do not think he's gonna go to the NFL because I think that I think college. The NFL is a whole different ballgame. Now you're dealing with men, and so now you going to the NFL and you looking at it from a standpoint of a business. At least in college football, you can hopefully grow and mature young men. So I don't know, man. I think he stayed at Colorado. I think Colorado will be his last gig. I think he stay there for as long as they allow him to, so long as he win and if it don't work out, man, I think he ride off into the sunset. I think his kids will be off to hopefully the NFL and the pros, and he may.
That's why he's going to go to the NFL. That's why I think he's going to go to the NFL. He's going to see 1 year.
I say this, maybe if it's a perfect situation work out, let's say a team that drafted his son say, okay, we want you as the coach as well. He may consider it, but I think if his son is playing in Las Vegas and he get a job in Dallas, I don't know if he take it. I don't think he take it. I think he stay where he at.
I think Vegas makes a lot of sense for Shedeur to go to.
It's a very Raiders-esque move.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I could very much see that happen. I can very much see Devontae Adams as a Jet before the season's end. So there's a lot of crazy things that I've seen in the NFL. And as a Jet fan, I am not jumping for joy as much as every Jet fan is, because there's only one ball that can get around to, each player. And I think just too much talent on the field doesn't always make a lot of sense. Just my opinion. But anyways, Sylvester, we love you, man. And by the way, you're fantastic. Your beard is fantastic. And listen, tell your wife, whatever she pushes you to do, keep it up. You are all ready to go. And I could see you in a suit, man. Why don't you coach? I could see you on the sidelines.
Man, I listen, I've had opportunities to coach, man, but honestly, I think I got a bigger impact to make, man, and that's why I choose to speak for a living, and I think that's where my impact is at, man. I got 3 beautiful sons, and going to go coach, man, I ain't giving up 80 hours a week. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I'd rather put 8 hours a week in speaking and making more money. So there you go.
There you go, man. I enjoy speaking, so I think I'm gonna stick to that.
I think you'd be good at that too. So, but we really appreciate the time, my friend. I want to get you back on again. And by the way, thank you for coming on, because I know you're a very busy person, and you got priorities. So we understand.
Listen, I appreciate y'all having me, man, and I really enjoyed it. And listen, toward the end of the year, man, I want to talk again because I want to see how some of these teams that we talked about doing.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you what.
We'll track Bambi Sala for you.
Bambi, and I'm going to tell you this. Shedeur Sanders, when he gets drafted and he fails, I'm going to be like, Sylvester, what happened to your Shedeur Sanders?
Listen, I'm betting on my picks, man. I think you got to get you.
Right,
hey, that's that guy right there.
Boom, home.
I tell you what, if Shedeur have a good NFL rookie season next year, me and you doing power slap, and I get to be the Hawaiian heavyweight.
Oh, so you get to smack first? That's not fair.
Yeah,
that's not fair. All right, and if Shedeur stinks, then I get the first smack.
I think Errol just wants to I think Errol just wants to compromise and power slap Shedeur Sanders.
I don't know if he can take my slap. I don't know if he can.
Oh man, I love it.
Sylvester, we love you, man. And we will be getting you back on the show before the season's end. We'll get you on. No question.
All right, man. Y'all have fun, man. Enjoy it, man. I love it. Take care.
Sylvester Williams, fantastic ex-NFL player, speaking. He's doing all these things, and he believes Shedeur Sanders is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I beg to differ. Okay, I cannot sell that Shedeur Sanders is going to be that. That's just my opinion, but again, I could be wrong. CeeDee Lamb said in a press conference that he has failed the Cowboys so far this season. He also apologized for the way he handled himself on the sidelines versus the Ravens, including his fight on the sidelines with Dak Prescott. Lamb admitted he was unprofessional and immature, and he didn't help the situation or outcome of their game. Lamb had just 4 catches, 67 yards against the Ravens. It does not have a 100-yard receiving game this season. Jerry Jones also said he takes blame for the way the Cowboys have struggled so far this season. The Cowboys play the Giants in New York on Thursday Night Football this week, with both teams 1-2. Oh, man. I respect CeeDee Lamb. for coming out and saying what he said. You know, a lot of people just don't go out and apologize like that. How many wide receivers have done that? Have you ever seen Jamar Chase do that? Have you ever seen any of the big name wide receivers? Terrell Owens, besides him going out there and crying, "That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback." Usually, wide receivers don't apologize for what they say.
Nope, Des Bryant's still complaining that he
usually
caught the ball.
I mean, they're superstars. Have you ever heard Garrett Wilson apologize what he has done? You know, not only with Aaron Rodgers, but certain things that he has said on and off the field. He really doesn't. Most of these guys, they have egos. For CeeDee Lamb to come out and apologize the way he did shows you that not only is he's a man, he was obviously brought up right by his parents. And even apologizing to Dak Prescott the way everything happened on the sidelines. And you could see that CeeDee Lamb is frustrated. He's not playing at the top of his game. He just got a big contract by the Cowboys, and he expects more from himself, not just by Dak Prescott, him throwing him the ball. He understands the situation and how much pressure Dak Prescott has been dealing with. The offensive line has not played well this year, and really the defense has been abysmal. They just haven't been good. So you can't blame Dak Prescott for everything, but guess what? Every single Cowboy fan is going to blame him for everything because he's the quarterback. He's going to get the respect and he's going to get all the accolades when they're playing well. And when they're not playing well, who are they going to blame? They're going to blame Dak Prescott. But I do believe CeeDee Lamb is a lot better than he has been. I expect him to have a game that he's going to break out where he's going to get close to 200 yards. He'll have like 3 touchdowns in the game. Nobody's going to hold out a beast of a man like this. This guy is the top 3. He's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. There's no question that he is. And he's so fun to watch. He's so electrifying. You could put him in the slot. You could put him on the outside. He could do everything. And to me, humiliating himself last week is something that's going to push him forward this week to go out there and show what he could do on a football field. I wouldn't even be surprised if CeeDee Lamb has 150 yards. Expect Dak Prescott, if you're a CeeDee Lamb owner this year or this week in fantasy, to absolutely, you're going to start him anyways, but absolutely expect that this guy is going to have 100 yards this week and about 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to be exploding this week. I expect Dak to throw him the ball at least 12 to 13 times. It's a shame that the Cowboys have not played at their potential this year. But again, what is their potential? They have no running game, absolutely none. And their offensive line is old. Zach Martin is at the tail end of his career. He's a Hall of Famer, but tail end. They don't have Smith anymore. He's playing for the Jets and he's playing well. Their corner positions as far as defense has been horrific. Carson is absolutely struggling on the other side of the field. And to me, there's just nothing that tells me that this team is going to break out. But I will tell you this. If there's anybody that's going to find his way to break out, it's CeeDee Lamb. I'm telling you, buy it, sell it, whatever you want to do. If you want to be a betting man this week, as far as football and not even just fantasy betting, prop bets. Bet that CeeDee Lamb has over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. Expect a breakout and expect Dak Prescott to throw the ball over 10 times to him this week as well.
Yeah, accountability is a big thing with the wide receiver position that sometimes you don't always see. Right? A lot of these guys, like you said, are diva wide receivers. These guys that complaining for calls all the time, stuff like that, and try to be more eccentric. And CeeDee Lamb, yeah, he's eccentric in his own personality a little bit, but again, he's never been one of those guys that have been calling people out, and this time showing, taking responsibility. We've seen Micah Parsons been questioned earlier in the offseason for his lack of leadership at certain points, and we've seen other guys be questioned on the Cowboys, like Diggs as well, for saying the things that he said in the past. But
CeeDee never apologized, by the way.
No, never apologized because he still thinks he's the top 5 corner in football, and he's not. But either way, CeeDee Lamb is not like that, and you're seeing CeeDee Lamb now take responsibility, and he knows he has to play better, and I agree with you. The Giants have to make it harder for him because he's not going to just crumble the way he did in certain games.
He's going to torch the Giants. I believe Malik Neighbors and CeeDee Lamb are going to have easy over 100 yards, and both of them could have 2 to 3 touchdowns in that game. I think it's a high-scoring game. The Giants played very well defensively last week, but you are talking about the Browns and Watson.
Yeah.
This is a different offense. I think Dak will throw 300 yards this week once again. expect it. And I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be explosive. So is Malik Neighbors. And I believe Daniel Jones will have close to 300 yards this week, too. I think it's going to be a high-flying game on Thursday Night Football, so expect it.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones definitely is right when he's saying that he messed up in terms of the players he's let go as well. And a lot of those players, like Stephon Gilmore, striving with the Vikings right now. Tyron Smith, like you said, striving with the Jets right now. Tyler Biadasz was another offensive lineman. He went to Washington, I believe. I think that's where he ended up. Mm-hmm. He's playing very well now. Like, a lot of these guys have lost, and the Cowboys' offensive line looks very mediocre, and their offense just doesn't look the same. And it starts when, again, these good defenses are able to game plan for somebody like CeeDee Lamb. And he's had good corners on him. I'm saying he hasn't good corners, Lattimore and Marlon Humphrey the last 2 weeks, but he still has had 100-yard games against good corners.
All right, Fish, your quick opinion on CeeDee Lamb apologizing and really taking responsibility on what he did this past weekend.
Yeah, he basically threw a temper tantrum because he wasn't getting the ball, and he had it out, yelled on the sideline, and embarrassed himself, and everyone saw it. It became a TikTok, as we just watched a little bit ago. It's something that he needs to get over, and it's something that needed to get out because there's a lot of frustration. And maybe Dak didn't understand how frustrated he was. Maybe that they needed to have that venting session. Unfortunately for the Giants, I feel like the venting session is going to spill over, just like you're saying, Errol, right into tomorrow night's game. Look, Cordell Flott had his best game as a pro, but if Cordell Flott is lined up on CeeDee Lamb, it is not going to go how we want. And if Deontay Banks is on CeeDee Lamb, the thing about Deontay Banks is he's really fast and he can stay in phase on a defender. The problem with Deontay Banks is, as we saw with that first touchdown against Amari Cooper, even if he's standing right there, he doesn't necessarily always go for the ball. He doesn't have like the ball skills. So CeeDee Lamb's one of the best contested catch guys in the league. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be an over. I think Reno Johnny was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Take the over in that game, guys, because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of defense played. Bad run defenses, bad pass defenses, quarterbacks that, playing okay. I'll give Jones okay to fair to good somewhere in there right now.
I think between 250 and 300 yards for Jones, and I think he runs for about 50 in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones runs in for a touchdown.
I think the run game is the way to go. Singletary's been very balanced, and then that's should open up some outside lanes for Jones to take off here and there. As long as they have that going, they should be fine because there's no one really run stopping anything on the Dallas defense, even if the Giants' offensive line is playing at a league average clip right now. And I would argue they're playing a little bit better than that. So it's really exciting, at least from an offensive perspective. Defensively, I'm really curious to see what Bowen follows this up with. Look, Dak is a very good quarterback, but there are ways to get after him. Let's hope that he can figure it out. I don't know what his game plan is, but they're going to need a miracle to beat this team, even though Dallas is struggling.
Stephen A. Smith said on First Take that Travis Kelce does not look like himself, and the Chiefs will need him to be elite if they want to three-peat this season. Jeff Saturday says that Kelce looks old, and Patrick Mahomes doesn't look like the same because of it. Saturday also said that the Chiefs are not 3-0 because of Patrick Mahomes and got very lucky on the calls going to their favor. Mike Greenberg says that Patrick Mahomes is still playing great and they don't need Kelce to be elite to still have a good offense. Greenberg references the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill and still winning a Super Bowl in 2022 as something that shows Mahomes' greatness. Kelce has just had 8 catches for 69 yards in 3 games this season. First of all, okay, I don't know what's up with Mike Greenberg. I really don't. I know he's a Jet guy, and he had a lot to say about Aaron Rodgers about a week and a half ago. Then Aaron Rodgers has the game has the best game as a New York Jets, puts up, big numbers, says that he's slow, he's old, and then he's running out of the pocket. He's making plays in the open field. I don't hear Mike Greenberg anymore. I don't hear it. But guess what? And listen, I have said this over and over and over again about Travis Kelce. Ever since he started dating Taylor Swift, he's just a different player. And I'm just speaking the truth. He signed the 2-year extension in the offseason because he wanted to three-peat and he wanted to make more money. That's why he signed the 2-year extension, because they're giving him more money up front. The fact is, this is his final year. Win or lose, Travis Kelce is retiring. I've said it over and over again. He just got a $100 million contract with his brother for his podcast. There is no reason for him to play. He also came out and said that he was never getting married until he retires. Maybe he wants to get married. Maybe his plan is to marry Taylor Swift in the future. I have no idea, and I'm not hanging out with him. I'm not the fly on a wall, and I don't want to be the fly on a wall hanging out with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Okay? I don't want to know about their thoughts about who they're voting for when it comes to presidents. I don't care. What I do know right now is Travis Kelce is not the same Travis Kelce. He wasn't the same Travis Kelce in the playoffs last year. He's just a shell of himself. Now, he does look old. He looks fat. I'm just speaking the truth. If you watch him on the field, you can tell it. And even when he caught the ball in that game against Atlanta, the safety's knocking the ball out of his hands. He's not holding on to the ball. He's just not the same player. Maybe it's just he doesn't have the heart for it anymore. Now, I expect him to put up big numbers this week because of all the criticism that he's had, just like CeeDee Lamb. All the criticism, you know what Patrick Mahomes is going to say. He's going to say, listen, we're going to get you the ball. We're going to throw you the ball. We're going to show everybody that you can still play. It's going to be up to Travis Kelce to go out there and play his game. If he doesn't play his game, well, there's nothing for him to even prove anymore. He's the greatest playoff tight end of all time. He's one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game, and he won 2 Super Bowls. If he wins a third one this year, he can go down as the greatest tight end of this era. But nevertheless, I don't know why anybody's speaking about this. Stephen A. Smith, I'm speaking the truth. They do not need Travis Kelce to three-peat. I'm going to tell you why. Because as far as I'm concerned, the NFL is going to help him anyways. I mean, honestly, he's their tight end. I mean, Roger Goodell and the NFL is the tight end, or whatever you want to call it, the extra wide receiver or the extra player on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs. And as long as they are the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes is 100% healthy and Andy Reid is eating his hamburgers, I'm going to tell you this right now. They're going to be the favorites coming out of the AFC. Travis Kelce showing up to game or game after game, I don't think it means anything. I could see it in Travis Kelce's face that there is something wrong. I believe that he believes that his time on an NFL field is on its way out. And I just think there's a confidence issue with Travis Kelce. I really do believe that Travis Kelce believes that he's not the same player he once was. He doesn't have that speed inside and out of, his different, slants that he's running or different, routes that he's running. So I do believe that Travis Kelce will play a big part this year if they plan to win. How much, I don't know. But for anybody like Jeff and I do believe Jeff Saturday's right. They are getting lucky. I do believe the NFL is helping them. I do believe the calls are helping them. I think he is more right than Mike Greenberg saying that they don't need Travis Kelce and Stephen A. Smith saying that they do need Travis Kelce. These are two guys that respect each other, that have been on each other's shows, and I think are just eating off each other's plates because they want to sell something. There's nothing to sell here. Travis Kelce is not going to play. He'll play a part on if they win, but not a big. They don't need a big part because I'm going to tell you this right now. Taylor Swift and the NFL are the big part for Kelce and Patrick Mahomes getting a three-peat. So I don't think it has anything to do if with Travis Kelce's game or game in and game out woes this coming season or this season so far.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think he definitely looks like he's not the same deep threat as a tight end, as a receiving tight end, the versatility and running deep routes that he had. A lot of his big plays have come yards after the catch. And even last year, too, it was like that as well, where he's just limited to a lot more shorter routes now. Now, he did do well in most of the playoffs.
You don't think he looks fatter? Out of shape?
Probably a little, but
stop going to Taylor Swift concerts. Okay? That's what I'm going to say.
Now, obviously, his playoff numbers are very good, so they're still going to need him in some capacity to be at least like a second or third target in order to make that kind of thing work. And he did have some good playoff games. He had a great game against the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. He had a pretty good game against the Bills. But remember in the 49ers game, Andy Reid and him were beefing on the sideline for a while. So, and the Chiefs were able to win with Jets legend Mecole Hardman and Rashee Rice playing very well in that Super Bowl. So they've
beefing. He pushed them. He pushed
Andy
Reid.
Right. And they have enough other guys I think that can make that kind of thing work. We've seen Rashee Rice play very well so far this season, and I think Xavier Worthy will be down the road as well.
Who should be suspended, by the way.
Obviously, but
Rice should be suspended. The NFL, of course, because it's the Kansas City Chiefs, it's okay what you do. You want to beat up somebody? You want to get into a car accident? Go right ahead. You're the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to smack yourself or, smack other people, as long as it's, behind closed doors, you can do whatever you want. You can smack yourself. You can smack somebody else. I don't give a crap. The NFL lets this team get away with murder. But they never did it with the Patriots. That's not true. That's not true. I'll take back what I said.
No, they actually had somebody that literally did that.
I'll take back what I said. But, I was trying to be funny, by the way. Just being funny. But anyways, Fish, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, how do you get up for a regular season week 2 or 3 game after you've just won 2 back-to-back Super Bowls? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where early in the season, he's coming off of the Eras tour of the world with Taylor. It's one of these, he's been in the public eye the whole off season. It's a new life that he's now leading, and power to him. I hope it goes well. But apparently right now, what it's not doing is letting him be successful on the field at all. I don't know if that means that he's done. I don't think so. I think he's now going to have to just pick his spots more and just save it up and use them. You empty that tank. Remember Kobe the last couple of years when he was playing after the Achilles injury? He would just turn it on like some game. This last game he never came out, but it was that same thing where you could save it up and then go and still go 100% for like a day, one game. And he might be able to do that. He might give you like 5 really good games this season, including playoffs. But to expect him to be like I expected him to be when I drafted him in fantasy.
Told you not to.
Look, everything has been a comedy of errors for me. We play each other in all 22 this week.
Yeah.
My team's not bad. Not bad.
Are you going to start Wan'Dale Robinson this week?
By the way, my old
he's got a good rating.
Team is injury prone too. By the way, I mean everybody's injured. I don't know what's up with this year. I just have bad luck. It's been bad luck for me. It really has been bad. So it hasn't been one of those great years for me where it never is, by the way. I find a way to win, but this year I'm playing in a team that, in a league that has 14 teams and there's nobody on the scrap heap. And then on the other, the Beavs league, they're just, it's all luck. I mean, with Beav how is Beav? I think Beav has 2 wins, if I'm not mistaken. I think his team,
a third.
And his team sucks. His team absolutely stinks, and he's won 2 games. It doesn't make any sense. So whatever.
As soon as I saw him with the haircut and mustache combo, all I know was he doesn't have that same kind of fire to him. This is the most fiery guy. That's what he was. He was the high energy, spiky hair, crew cut, just like in your face to the point where he almost knocked Andy Reid over in the Super Bowl last year. This is emo Kelce. We've got him being very in his feelings and his emotions, supportive. That's not the fiery tight end that's going to take no prisoners that we're used to seeing playing football. Look, we saw the highlight earlier tonight. Remember in the preseason, Mahomes is so frustrated with Kelce. He's running the wrong routes. He's not focused, and he throws it behind the back, and because he's Mahomes, he completes it. But let's face it, the guy can't possibly be focused as well as he ever used to be. He has to overcome this. Can he? Look, he's a Hall of Fame caliber guy. He might be able to overcome this. Will it be, the typical Kelce year? He didn't get 1,000 yards last year for the first time in, I think, probably since his rookie year, something like that. Look, he was just under it, but to expect him to be reaching those heights again, I think is kind of foolish. This might be his last year. If it's not his last year, it probably should be his last year. And that's what we're looking at. Do they have enough to a three-peat where he gets to go out on top? We'll see.
Brett Favre revealed on TMZ that he has Parkinson's disease since January. He said that he started feeling minor symptoms last year and was noticing things on his right arm that weren't there before. His doctors mentioned a lot of it has to do with his head trauma because there is no Parkinson in his family's background. Favre said in the interview in 2018 that he could have suffered more than 1,000 concussions during 20 years in his career. A study in 2020 reveals getting one concussion increases your risk of your nervous system disorder by 57%. Favre is 54 years old and played 302 games in his 20-year NFL career. It is horrible to hear that Brett Favre has Parkinson's disease. It's a terrible disease. Michael J. Fox has it. Michael J. Fox has lived a very long life. I mean, fighting and trying to find ways to end this disease. It's been horrible. And watching Michael J. Fox disintegrate into the great actor that he was is horrible to watch. I mean, this is horrible. And you lose a lot of weight. You lose, options of walking and using certain parts of your arms and your hands and your, all your ligaments. It's a horrible disease that eventually takes control and kills you. It's horrible. And unfortunately, Brett Favre has been hit so many times to the brain. The CTE situation, the NFL over the last couple of years trying to figure out and trying to protect the players. Just hearing this story worries me how many players in the future are going to have this same disease. And another thing with the NFL is the NFL needs to figure out how to protect these former players, giving them full, medical situations that have happened on the football field. If you had concussion problems, you have brain trauma, you have a brain injury, you have something like Parkinson's and stuff like that. The medical of the NFL should be covering it. If you have knee problems, ankle problems that happen on the NFL field, it should be covered. The fact that it isn't, I don't want to hear because they've made millions and millions of dollars. What happened in the 80s? I mean, the 80s, what were they making? $5,000 a week? They're not making the money that these players are making. They weren't making $50 million a year. I mean, these players, Joe Montana, I think the most he's ever made in his career in a season was like $2 million. I mean, this is Joe Montana. Dan Marino, go ask him how much he's made in his career yearly. Not anywhere close to the quarterbacks. I mean, you have Trevor Lawrence making $55 million a year. The guy can't throw 69 yards and a half. Are you kidding me? But you have guys like Brett Favre. And listen, is Brett Favre a good guy? I would say no. Everything that I've heard, the things that he's done on and off the field, it doesn't sound like he's a very nice guy. It really doesn't. And I want to hear about Aaron Rodgers. It has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. Okay. It seems like Brett Favre is not a nice guy, but you don't want to see something like this harm somebody or this go on in the NFL the way we've seen over the last couple of years. Look at the Aaron Hernandez thing. Was he a good guy? He was a bad guy. But when they did test on his brain, it was the worst CTE they've ever seen. The test that they seen and they studied was the worst they've ever seen. Just imagine that. This is a 23, 24-year-old guy that killed himself and he had a brain of a 70-year-old man. 70-year-old man. That, to me, tells me one thing about college football and the NFL. They got to find a way. They keep saying they got to find a way to protect the players. They got to find a way to give these guys medical. Give them a lifetime of medical, especially with the injuries and the injuries they take on the field and they put their bodies through year in, year out, week in, week out. And game in, game out. I just think that the NFL needs to find a way. If Roger Goodell has a lifetime of insurance with him and his family, so should every single player in the NFL. It's terrible. These guys are what created this league to be, billions and billions of dollars. And this, with the NFL and the Super Bowl bringing in multi-millions of dollars of endorsements, why can't the NFL find a way to pay these players that need medical, that don't have medical? We've had players on this show telling me that they have to find a way to get medical, or their wives are nurses or doctors or whatever the hell they are, or teachers that have full coverage that have to run through their wives' insurance because they don't have any insurance now, even though they made millions and millions of dollars. When you have a knee injury, I don't know if anybody understands this. When you have an ACL tear and you have ACL surgery, it's like an $80,000 surgery, $90,000 or something like that. Then you got to go through physical therapy. Physical therapy, every time you go to physical therapy without insurance, is like $150. Just think about that, $150. And you got to go for physical therapy for an ACL tear. That's about 10 months of physical therapy. Just think about how much money that is. So and you don't have insurance. So where does all your money go from what you invested or you made through your NFL career? It goes through your injuries. That doesn't make any sense. And the NFL has to figure out how to protect the players.
Absolutely, because you also look at, even besides the CTE situations, all these young players that have died very young recently as well too. We lost Jacoby Jones a couple months ago. There were a couple of young guys. Demaryius Thomas passed away a few years ago, who I wanted to ask Sylvester about because he played with him. Demaryius Thomas, Vincent Jackson, like all these guys. Vontae Davis we talked about earlier in the year, and they're not doing enough to help that with heart conditions, with, like you said, leg injuries, stuff like that. And even somebody like Trent Williams, like Washington couldn't detect a cancer tumor or whatever it was in his last year in Washington. Like, he could have died from that very easily. And now you have a case of Brett Favre, who says he may have suffered 1,000 concussions in his career, leading to Parkinson's disease. It is disgusting how the NFL does not give these players the benefits.
I loved watching Favre when he played, man. He was so exciting to watch play, but unfortunately, when you hear a story like this, it's not surprising if you watched him play. The man took lots of shots. He never came out. He played with a broken thumb on his throwing hand and had famously like the 6 touchdown game. It's unbelievable the things he did, but he took so many shots. If I'm not mistaken, Speedy, I believe he was the target of the Bounty Gate where they were trying to kill him, the Saints, when he was on the Vikings, and they really did. And I got the picture of him being carried off the field. That might have been the one that did it to him for the last shot. He was the Iron Man. He never came out. He was incredible. He would do things, and we talked about this on the side, Speedy. He invented the RPO because he was bored in practice one day. He just didn't feel like handing it off. It's like he just told Donald Driver, "Hey, just do a 2-step slant. Just do it. I might throw it to you." And he had completely changed the game of football because he was bored in practice. This is a guy that used to give ball fakes and that were the best in the league. And then when he was handing it off, he would always do this thing. I don't know if you remember, Errol. He would like jump and like pretend to throw it behind his head.
Yep.
And then every once in a while he would actually do it so that teams would have to respect it. He was like thinking about the details of the game to that level. And his arm was the strongest in the league for most of his career. He could beat cover 2 just by the strength of his arm, the way that Josh Allen does now. No one is doing it back when Favre was doing it except for Favre. So it's really, really sad to see this happen to him. Like whatever you say, bad guy, but I think you got to take a look at what they're doing now. It's that, you can't really hit the quarterback. So maybe it is for the best, even though we all don't like watching how soft it is. You don't want to see guys get Parkinson's disease, end up like Muhammad Ali, end up like.
What is this? What is this thing with the NFL that some of these guys can actually wear pads on the top of their helmets now? Like
so
practice.
that's called a guardian cap. We have those.
Why
in
doesn't
high
everybody
school.
wear that? Why doesn't everybody wear it?
You
have a choice to wear it?
You have a choice.
Yeah. Why can't everybody wear it?
I think it's one of those things like when hockey went from the helmet and no helmet phase and it kind of got phased in over time. You might see it get phased in more and more over the years. It doesn't, the way that they have it with the cap, you notice it, but it's not as ugly as I thought it would be. The ones that we have for the high school level are pretty ugly. I'm not going to lie. But those are, really, they just have like a cover that looks like the helmet over it. It just looks a little bulkier and it's, kind of like contoured so that you aren't going to get hurt as much. Look, you still get hurt with those things on, but you're not going to take the same type of headshots. So it's a big deal.
They should all be wearing it. That's all I'm going to say. They should all be wearing it. It's a shame, but again, the NFL should be finding a way to get every single player that are not in the NFL anymore medical, especially on injuries that they had playing the game. If they brought in billions and billions of dollars because of the endorsements, and that's why the game is flourishing and growing the way it is. And everybody wants to play the game, and everybody wants to be the next, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or whatever, anybody, and you name it. You want to be Aaron Donald. These are the guys that have had injury after injury after injury. If they have had injuries, if their injuries had something to do with the game of football, they should be covered 110%. And the NFL has the money to do it. I don't understand. Get an insurance policy and protect the players. You're making billions of dollars a year. Last year, the Super Bowl, you know how much it brought in through just the commercials? Do you know how much it brought in? Just think about it. You're talking about almost $400 million. $400 million for one football game. You're going to tell me you can't find a way to get an insurance policy to help all the players that are not playing in the game of football anymore? It's ridiculous. Why does Roger Goodell and his family have a lifetime of insurance and the players don't? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And the NFL needs to figure out how to protect their players on and off the field, in their futures, for their families, and for them to have somewhat of a life. Thank you to all the fans, all the thousands of people that download our show. By the way, we have a new YouTube channel, so you can check it out. Sports Loudmouth Radio. Sports Loudmouth Radio. We have a new YouTube channel as well, so you can check that out as well. That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on Monday. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.